Power Hour with John Lee.
Nicky Nicky Barnes. Slightly more famous than the others, this guy, Nicky. But even then, very much undertold story. Grows up in Harlem. Poor. Dirt poor. When was he born? 1932. So, he's a man in the 60s. But he grows up poor, and he's got an abusive father, the typical fucking rat who does what he can get away with. Does what he can get away with and doesn't do anything that he don't want to do. And that includes being with his family, looking after his wife, being a man in general. And so he's out doing, getting drunk, taking drugs. He's coming home, beating his wife in front of the kids. I mean, that is just fucking rank. And anyway, this is how Nicky Barnes is growing up watching this shit. And his house is a fucking dump and a hellhole. And then he looks out the window and it's probably even worse. And he's getting in with this, with a gang. It's just kind of typical, a gang called the Tiny Turks, who were older than he was. And getting into the crime, naughty young men. And he was a boy at the time, but he's getting into it and he's showing some flair. And so these Tiny Turks, because they like him, they give him a zip gun, homemade gun, wrap it and strap it, pop. And he's got one of them, but you want to be careful with that because it might not work. And he found that out. They pulled it on his dad because he gets in, his dad's beating up his mum. He goes, "You need to get the fuck off that woman, yeah? What are you going to do about it, you little twat?" Fucking gun surprise, bang. But it was shit, and it just fucking bounced off his jacket apparently. Absolutely shit. It exploded into flames. And so with that, he jumps out the window, and then he's on the streets now, and he gets into smack. I mean, becomes a smackhead because he'd already found a stash. His dad apparently was holding a stash for someone else. How true that is, I don't know. But he found it and started having some with him and his fucking mate. And he became a smackhead, but he was a smackhead who was dealing to pay for his habit. And eventually he gets caught for dealing, and he goes down, cleans himself up a bit, meets a guy called Madonna, who's a mafia guy, part of the Madonna family. There's a family of these fuckers. And he learns a lot in prison from Madonna, from Madonna. And he comes out and he's got suggestions from Madonna about what to do and where to go and how to go about it. And so he gets gifted a bit of this and gifted a bit of that. And he starts to show some real business promise. He's a man now. He's done a bit of time. He's been in there with some real serious people. And he's got no desire to take smack. None at all. Comes out, gets himself a nice girlfriend. And she was known as Sister. I don't know what the origin of that is. Is that a fucking name or not? Or she's a sister in the hood sense, I don't know. But she was street as fuck. So he starts setting up these distribution centres and packaging centres, mixing really, I think, mainly. So this is actually, you see this in American Gangster, where it's supposed to be Frank Lucas doing this. But this was actually Nicky Barnes, because she said, well, we'll get some women in a room, right? We'll have them mixing it up, and we'll have them doing it naked, so they can't steal. Right? They can't steal anything because they're fucking naked. How true that is, I don't know. But that was the idea, and it came from this woman called Sister. So he marries her, and now he's getting big time. He joins the Nation of Islam, becomes extremely religious, then he gets sent down again. He gets caught, he goes down, he's in prison, meets Crazy Joe Gallo, another mafia figure, but far superior, well, much higher level than anybody really. He was he should have been the boss of the Colombo crime family before it became the Colombo crime family in many people's eyes. Very, very mythical and emblematic gangster Joe Gallo. But Joe Gallo was extremely intelligent and soulful. He was a hippie, apart from being a murderous bastard and a violent fucker. He was a hippie. He was a reader. serious, reflective reader, Joe Gallo. And he put Nicky Barnes, who's also extremely intelligent, onto an emotional, psychological, spiritual path to enlightenment, which Nicky Barnes embraced wholeheartedly. So anyway, he gets out of prison after all this, and he's, as I say, highly intelligent, and he forms a group called the Council. Okay, and there's about 8 of them in total. I'm not going into that too much, but he'd learned from the Italians about hierarchy and about protecting yourself, about insulating yourself, about how not to get too identified and caught basically by the FBI and all that, and never get seen with the package in your hand. Keep yourself 3 steps away from the street and all that, which he learnt well. And he rose and he became extremely powerful. And he was rocking, I think, about 25 million for himself in profit. And this is back in the 70s, rocking $25 million a year in personal gain. That's not reflective of his empire. So he was the heroin fucking kingpin of New York, mainly of Brooklyn, right? But he was dealing basically for the mafia, for a guy called Carmine Galante, who ran the French Connection that we talked about earlier. We're going from Turkey through Italy up into the south of France and round to New York or to Montreal. And Carmine Galante ran that until he was the victim of a very high profile hit, where you'll see him get blasted off his fucking chair, and he's lying back and he's shot blasted, and he's still got the cigar in his mouth. So that was who was running the show at the time. But Nicky became extremely powerful, and he actually went after a mafia member called Puglisi, who he was fucking around with the stash. So you're supposed to be dealing it, but you're fucking double dipping it. You're mixing it, you're fucking around with it, and you're taking an extra few kilos for yourself. And what you're actually putting out on the street is fucking garbage. And of course, people are coming and saying, "Hey, Nicky," or "You that works for Nicky, that works for the guy that works for Nicky," whatever, right? Your gear's fucking shit. So they put a hit out on Puglisi, and they got him, they killed him. And so doing that to a main member of the mafia, and then saying to him, "Listen, don't come down to fucking Harlem. We've got as many guns as you have." That gave him a lot of status, and so too much. The authorities started going after him. Couldn't keep him. Couldn't not fucking get the man in jail. He was organised, and so they started calling him Mr. Untouchable. He loves this. He's Mr. Untouchable now, and he has a party on top of the Time Life fucking building. They've got a pool and all that on top of the building. He's invited all these gangster mates. Half the fucking waiters are like, "Shh. Do you want another one?" Shh. I think it all went to his head. In one way or another, it all went to his fucking head. You don't do that, obviously. And so now he's very much in the firing line. And I don't know what he was thinking on this one, but his lawyer got a call from New York Times Magazine saying, "We're going to come down tomorrow and take some shots of Nicky Barnes, some photos for our magazine." And the lawyer says, "I don't think you understand." And the journalist says, "No, you don't understand. If you don't let us come down there and do that, we're going to put his mugshot up on the front of our magazine, where he looks like a fucking psycho, which is what he is. So you can let us take some nice pictures and put that up instead." So the lawyer says, "Okay, what time?" So they go down. Fucking Nicky Barnes thinks, "Oh, this is great." He gets a tie, a red, white and blue tie. And I've literally heard him say something like, "Red, white and blue means me and you, because we're all American," whatever. So he's posing, he's got his fucking shades on, blah. and he's got his tie on, and he's got his suit on, and he's wearing thousands and thousands of dollars, and he's posing like fuck, and that was a fucking stupid idea. And so now Jimmy Carter, the president at the time, he looks at that and he says, "Who the fuck's this?" "Oh yeah, that's a smack dealer from New York. We call him Mr. Untouchable because you can't prosecute the fucker." "What do you mean we can't prosecute him?" "Oh, we can't catch him. He's on the front of the fucking magazine." So, all right, sorry, Mr. President. And now then they start going after him now proper, right? We've got to get this fucker in prison, innit? So they get the first anonymous jury in the history of the United States. Nobody knows who these fucking people are. There's 12 of them. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But such was Nicky Barnes' reputation for corruption, jury tampering, intimidation, violence in general, murder, right? That they formed an anonymous jury, so it would be impossible for Nicky Barnes or any of his peeps to get to them and evade conviction that way. And that's what they did. And he gets convicted, Nicky Barnes, and he gets sent down, and so does everybody else. 18 of them get sent down. One guy, his protege, a guy called Nicky Fisher, the heir apparent to Nicky Barnes' throne, Guy Fisher. Did I say Nicky Fisher? Well, fuck it. Guy Fisher. And he's a smart cookie, and he's the only one who gets off. So Guy Fisher walks out. There's a lot of confusion about this, suspicion you might say. Walks away, takes over the enterprise, takes over the council, and starts shagging his fucking bird. So Nicky Barnes is married and all that, but he's got a girlfriend, a pretty little thing called Shemeka. So he's not content with taking over his business after I think he's done something with the jury that Nicky Barnes wasn't able to do. He's also going to shag his fucking bird in front of everybody. He's like he's parking up on the corner, shouting people over so they could see him in the car with Nicky Barnes' woman. And so Nicky Barnes, he's not having this. He decides to strike back, and he starts doing that. He starts fucking grassing people up, giving the names in to the authorities, and they start getting busted. So one guy goes to Shemeka, he puts a gun to her chest and fucking executes her as a warning to Nicky Barnes. Listen, this is how far we're willing to go. Right? Stop what you're doing, take your sentence. Nicky Barnes says, fuck that, that's not the way I roll, and I'll see you boys in here. Carries on grassing them up. He goes around with a fucking black hood on. I don't know if that was his idea. It looks like somebody did that to him. He's got this pointy black, looks like a black fucking KKK outfit he's rocking. Can't have been his idea, surely.
All roads led to Harlem, and all roads led to Nicky Barnes in those days.
Nicky Barnes was the face of heroin trafficking during the 1970s.
Every place he went, people just wanted to be around him. He was a true superstar.
He was the John Gotti before John Gotti.
The Al Capone of Harlem.
Our black godfather. He had hooked up with the mob, with the big Italians, and that guaranteed a lot of drugs and that they were going to be good.
I mean, these guys could have been on the Fortune 500.
There's a CEO and a president and a CFO and a COO.
What I call sidewalk executive. There was something that was professional that was being done.
So the life was good. I'd have like $2-3 million in a box of money.
He had that benevolence to him, the Thanksgiving Day turkeys, the spending money. He was giving something back to the community that he was raping and abusing and killing.
Nicky Barnes always had a case, or two, or three. He was acquitted. Jury said not guilty.
He was Mr. Untouchable.
You got the president saying, I want him off the streets.
You don't go na-na-na-na-na.
Yo, what are you, crazy? What are you doing?
From a dream to a nightmare.
This is a brotherhood.
Nicky Barnes was a coward.
It's revenge, revenge, revenge.
There is no loyalty. There's treachery.
Go ahead. Tell me what it is you have in mind.
There were a couple of friends of mine that were supposed to be doing things for me,
Yeah.
And, they're doing things against me, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get back at them.
They could call me a snitch. I'm out there in. It's not as though I say, I forgive them. No, that ain't happening.
And anyway, they put him up on the stand and he's crying because he has you know, betray everything he stands for and everything he grew up with. Don't know if that's why he was crying or not. And every single one of them gets life. He puts them all behind bars. And then he gets out eventually, because he's a professional grass. He goes fucking court to court, round the country, grassing on people and doing it very well. Because as I say, he is intelligent and articulate. They let him out. And as far as I know, he's still rocking the witness protection program. Unless, unless he's died while I've been sitting here saying this, he's still rocking the witness protection program. So today on